the hidden power you were born to master. Imagine this. You're sitting in silence. The world is spinning fast around you, so much energy, so much noise, and yet inside you, there's a strange stillness. It's not peace exactly. It's not chaos either. It's both. You feel everything and nothing at the same time. You're present, but you're watching yourself from somewhere else too. You feel love so deep it makes your bones ache, and yet detachment so sharp it makes you question if you're even human. You are darkness and light, logic and intuition, fire and water. You are the walking paradox. You are the rare one. You carry the Yin-Yang Dual Vibration. And if you feel that, not just in theory, but in your body and your bones, then this message is for you.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound spiritual lessons.
This isn't just about balance. Most people talk about balance like it's something you achieve and maintain with a cute little meditation app and a green smoothie. But the kind of balance I'm talking about? It's cosmic, it's chaotic, it's sacred. It's the balance that comes from holding opposites inside your being and not being torn apart by them. It's the vibration of those who were born to walk between worlds, between dimensions, between frequencies, between timelines. People like you. And here's the thing. Most people who carry this dual vibration don't even know it, because they've been taught to pick one side. Be light or be dark. Be spiritual or be logical. Be soft or be powerful. But what if your true nature is to be both? What if your soul wasn't meant to choose, but to contain? The first sign is the feeling of deep contradiction within yourself, and not as confusion, but as truth. You've probably been told you're too complicated, too unpredictable, too moody, too intense. But you're not unstable, you're multidimensional. Some days you need to be alone in silence, meditating, feeling the universe move through you. Other days you're on fire, creating, leading, speaking, taking the world by storm. And maybe you've judged yourself for that. Maybe you've tried to normalize yourself. But let me tell you, that duality is not a flaw. It's a frequency, one that makes you powerful beyond measure once you stop trying to suppress one side and start integrating both. The second sign is that you're naturally both a healer and a destroyer. You bring peace to people just by being around them. But you also break illusions wherever you go. You trigger people. You activate their shadows not because you're trying to, but because your energy reflects truth. Your yin side soothes, nurtures, holds space. Your yang side slices, awakens, transforms. And most people don't know what to do with that. They want you to be one or the other. They want the comfort without the confrontation. But your vibration isn't here to comfort the comfortable. It's here to disrupt what's false and heal what's real. And that means sometimes people will love you one minute and fear you the next. That's not confusion. That's power. The third sign is your relationship with time. You don't experience time like most people. You've probably felt like you were ahead of your age your entire life. Even as a child, you saw through things adults couldn't. You felt ancient and yet wildly creative. You can slow down and enter deep stillness, but also accelerate and move through timelines like you're skipping stones across water. When you're in flow, time bends. You might do in 2 hours what takes others 2 weeks. You might need 2 days of solitude to recover from a 5-minute interaction. You're sensitive, but not weak. You're fast, but not frantic. Your relationship with time is nonlinear. And that's because you're not just functioning in one reality, you're holding multiple timelines at once. That's the dual vibration in action. The 4th sign is your emotional range. Some people live at the surface of their emotions. They feel happy, sad, frustrated, calm. You feel everything. Rage, ecstasy, grief, bliss, despair, divine joy, all in a single day. Maybe even in a single moment. And here's the wild part. You can hold those emotions without needing to fix them. You can cry and still feel powerful. You can be angry and still feel loving. You can feel deep sadness and still trust the universe. This emotional depth is not a weakness, it's an ancient technology. It allows you to transmute energy for others. It allows you to alchemize pain into power. It allows you to walk through fire and come out glowing. But only if you stop judging your feelings and start honoring them as sacred messengers. The 5th sign is that you're both the observer and the participant in this life. You're in the world, but not fully of it. You can be in a conversation and also feel the energy behind the words. You can be part of a group, but still sense the collective frequency of the room. You can be laughing, but also noticing who's pretending, who's hurting, who's lying. That's not paranoia. That's perception. You're tuned. You're tracking layers most people don't even know exist. And that's why you need more rest than others. That's why surface-level interactions drain you. That's why you can feel exhausted after being in public for an hour. Because your system is not just receiving data, it's processing the unseen. And the more you honor this sensitivity, the stronger your signal becomes. The 6th sign is your relationship with creation and destruction. You're not afraid to burn things down. You've walked away from jobs, relationships, entire identities, not because you're flaky, but because you know when something's expired. You don't cling to what no longer resonates. You move through life with the rhythm of death and rebirth. And while others fear endings, you've come to understand that destruction is part of creation. You destroy illusions. You destroy limitations. You destroy anything that keeps you from being fully alive. And from those ashes, you birth new realities, new ideas, new versions of yourself. This is the sacred dance of yin and yang within you. One collapses, the other rebuilds, over and over again. The 7th and final sign is your ability to hold paradox without needing resolution. You don't need things to make perfect sense. You understand that truth is not always linear, that love can include space, that freedom can exist inside commitment, that silence can be louder than words. You live in the in-between spaces. You see both sides. You hold complexity without collapsing into confusion. And this is what makes you rare. This is what makes you dangerous to systems that thrive on black and white thinking. Because you are not here to choose a side. You are here to embody the whole. So now I ask you, which of these signs live in you? Which ones have you mastered, and which ones are still awakening? And what would your life look like if you stopped resisting your contradiction and started living as your full multidimensional self? The awakening of the dual frequency, why you were born to walk between worlds. There's a moment in every chosen one's journey where they realize they don't quite belong anywhere. Not fully, not permanently. You try to immerse yourself in communities, in ideologies, in careers or spiritual paths, but nothing ever feels like home for long. You're always on the edge, just close enough to understand, but just distant enough to remain untouched. And for most of your life, that feeling made you think something was wrong with you. But what if that sense of not belonging is the proof that you were never meant to fit in? What if that in-betweenness is not a flaw, but a signature of your dual vibration? You weren't born to pick a side. You were born to bridge realities. You are the portal between logic and intuition, science and soul, heaven and earth. The Yin-Yang vibration is not just an energetic profile, it's a mission blueprint. It means your soul chose to incarnate with the ability to see both sides clearly, to hold tension without collapsing, and to translate between dimensions. You're the one who can speak to the skeptic and the mystic. The one who can sit with grief and still channel joy. The one who can hold chaos in one hand and still transmit peace with the other. That is not common. That is ancient coding, returned to earth through you. But here's the part most people don't talk about. This dual vibration doesn't feel like a gift at first. It feels like being split down the middle. One part of you craves silence, solitude, surrender. The other part wants to build, lead, conquer. You want to disappear into the forest for a month and also launch a world-changing project tomorrow. You want to meditate under the stars and also go viral on the internet. You want to love deeply and also protect your freedom with everything you have. And this internal tug of war isn't confusion, it's capacity. You are wired to hold multiple archetypes simultaneously. And that means you will never feel fully at peace by choosing just one identity. This is why so many dual vibration souls experience deep identity crises. You try to be something. A healer, a leader, an artist, a teacher, a rebel. But as soon as you commit to one role, another part of you begins to die. You feel boxed in, trapped, drained, and then you start to sabotage. You burn down your own success. You ghost relationships. You pivot hard in a new direction. Not because you're lost, but because your soul refuses to be stuck in one frequency. You are not here to be one thing. You are here to become many things, over and over again. And every time the old identity dissolves, a new version of your power begins to awaken. But in order to thrive with this vibration, you must do something most people never dare to do. You must stop seeking stability in identity. You must allow yourself to be a river, not a statue. To be an ever-changing current of energy, not a fixed personality. And that requires radical trust. Trust that your soul knows what it's doing. Trust that your contradictions are intentional. Trust that your path will never look linear, and that's the point. Because you are not here to follow a path. You are here to weave one. A path that merges what others think cannot be merged. A path that births new paradigms simply by your existence. And that path will challenge people. Because your vibration is threatening to those who need certainty. People want you to be predictable. They want you to fit in a box so they can feel safe around you. But you are a frequency disruptor. Your very presence destabilizes outdated systems. Your very truth makes people question their own masks. And that means you will be misunderstood. You will be projected onto. You will be labeled as inconsistent, intimidating, or too much. But never forget, every great transformer in history was seen as a contradiction before they were seen as a guide. You don't need everyone to understand you. You only need to understand yourself. So how do you live in alignment with this rare dual vibration? You stop resisting your evolution. You stop trying to hold on to one version of yourself out of fear that you'll be seen as unstable. You allow your yin side to pull you inward when your soul needs rest, reflection, and retreat. And you allow your yang side to ignite you into action, to move, speak, lead, build. You learn to dance between those states, instead of labeling one as right and the other as wrong. You begin to track your energetic tides, like the moon. You begin to organize your life around your rhythms, not society's expectations. You also learn the art of energetic containment. Because when you hold this much power, this much range, you must be responsible for it. You must learn when to speak and when to be still, when to lead and when to listen, when to initiate and when to surrender. Your dual vibration is a sacred force, but only when it's integrated. When you're unconscious of it, it becomes chaos. You swing wildly between extremes. You burn out. You collapse. But when you become conscious of it, you become a force of nature. You become calm in the storm, fire in the freeze, truth in the noise. And perhaps most importantly, you begin to stop apologizing for how different you are. You stop trying to explain your inner world to people who aren't equipped to hear it. You stop shrinking to fit into spaces you've already outgrown. You stop waiting for permission to be who you are. Because the truth is, your dual vibration is not here to fit in. It's here to lead, not by force, but by resonance, by example. By embodying what it looks like to be whole in your contradictions, to be both shadow and light, to be both rebel and sage, to be both human and divine. So I ask you now, what part of your duality have you been suppressing to make others comfortable? What truth are you afraid to live because it doesn't fit into a single label? What would your reality look like if you gave yourself full permission to be all that you are, even if it makes no sense to anyone else? The Yin-Yang Superpower: how to use your dual vibration to heal, lead, and transcend. There is a hidden superpower inside you, one that very few people on this planet carry. It's not a skill you learned, it's a frequency you were born with. A divine code that allows you to shift energy simply by being present. But this power doesn't express itself loudly. It doesn't always look like grand spiritual displays or dramatic awakenings. Most of the time, it looks like you sitting with someone in silence while their mask begins to fall, speaking one sentence that changes someone's life, walking into a room and shifting the entire atmosphere without saying a word. This is what it means to hold a rare yin-yang dual vibration. You are not just in the world, you are recalibrating it. But to truly access this superpower, you have to stop trying to live like everyone else. You are not here to follow the linear path. You are not here to hustle non-stop or to ascend out of your body and avoid the earthly experience. You are here to merge the worlds, to embody the sacred and the practical, to live in the center of paradox without needing to resolve it. Most people live in polarity. They either reject the world in the name of spirituality, or they lose their soul in pursuit of success. You came to bridge those extremes. You came to heal the divide between spirit and matter, between intuition and logic, between light and shadow. Let's make this practical. Your yin side is your inner world, your intuition, your stillness, your ability to feel and flow. This is the side of you that receives energy, that senses what's unsaid, that holds space without needing to fix. It's the part of you that communes with the unseen, that knows things without explanation, that dreams, prays, and channels. And in a world addicted to noise and speed, this yin energy is medicine. It brings depth to shallow places. It brings soul back into systems that have lost their humanity. It slows things down so truth can rise to the surface. When you honor this side of yourself, you become a mirror of divine presence. But your yang side is just as sacred. It's your fire, your clarity, your precision, your action. It's the part of you that builds, speaks, directs, protects, and moves mountains. It's the part that says, enough, that draws boundaries, that initiates change where stagnation has ruled. It's the frequency that makes you a leader not because you crave power, but because you embody alignment. When you let your yang side rise, you become a catalyst. You don't just hold space for healing, you provoke it. You don't just meditate on change, you create it. Now here's where the magic happens. When you integrate these two forces, you become unstoppable. Because most people are either soft but passive or powerful but disconnected. You are both. You can open your heart without losing your edge. You can lead without dominating. You can hold pain without collapsing. You can speak truth and hold compassion. And that balance is what makes you uniquely qualified to serve the collective in this new era of consciousness. You are not just here to heal yourself. You are here to be an example of what wholeness looks like. Not perfection, wholeness. But this requires mastery. It requires that you track your energy like a sacred current, that you listen to your tides and stop forcing yourself to be in yang when your yin needs to rest. that you honor your inner fire, even if the world tells you to stay quiet. You are not here to be consistent in the traditional sense. You are here to be aligned. Your consistency is in your integrity, not in your schedule. Your reliability is in your presence, not in your productivity. Your value is in your frequency, not in how easy you are to understand. And this mastery begins with radical self-acceptance. You can't weaponize this power if you're still ashamed of your contradictions. You can't lead others into wholeness if you keep hiding your shadow. You can't transmit truth if you're still trying to be palatable. The world doesn't need another watered-down spiritual persona. It needs you in your full, raw, layered, multidimensional expression. Because when you show up in your yin-yang duality, you give others permission to stop hiding too. You create a ripple effect of authenticity that shifts the collective field. So how do you use this power to heal others? You do it by holding paradox without flinching. When someone is grieving, you don't rush to fix them. You sit with them in the dark with presence. That's yin. But when the time comes, you also speak the truth that breaks them open. That's yang. When someone is stuck in loops, you don't shame them. You reflect their pattern with compassion. That's yin. But you also challenge them to rise. That's yang. You don't just feel for people, you activate them. And that's why people are changed after being around you, even if they don't know why. How do you use this power to lead? You stop mimicking what leadership is supposed to look like. You stop chasing validation and start transmitting vibration. You lead not from authority, but from alignment. People follow your energy, not your words. They trust you, not because you have all the answers, but because you're real. They feel safe around you because they can sense you've met your own darkness. They feel inspired by you because you're not preaching from a pedestal, you're walking right beside them as both student and master. That's the new leadership. That's the code you carry. And how do you use this power to transcend? You stop identifying with either side. You are not just yin. You are not just yang. You are the space that holds them both. You are not your emotions or your thoughts or your actions. You are the consciousness that moves through all of them. You are the observer, the creator, the witness. And this is the ultimate liberation. When you stop clinging to one identity, one role, one idea of who you're supposed to be, you become infinite. You become fluid. You become free. So let me ask you this. Where in your life are you still trying to be understood instead of being embodied? Where are you still playing small to make others comfortable? What would happen if you let your power rise, not just the soft, safe parts, but the wild, electric, unapologetic parts too? The final transmission, how to embody the yin-yang vibration and become a living portal for transformation. This is the moment where everything shifts, where the theory becomes embodiment, where knowing becomes being. Because if you've made it this far, you already know you carry the dual vibration. You've always known. Maybe not in words, maybe not in any language humans speak, but deep in your nervous system, in your subtle field, in the way your life has unfolded, you felt it. In the pull of opposites, the pressure to choose, the pain of being misunderstood, the exhaustion of walking a path no one else seems to see. But now, it's time to stop surviving your duality and start living it as a superpower. Not as a concept, but as an embodied frequency. That starts with one of the most radical acts you'll ever commit, letting go of permission. You don't need permission to be both light and dark. You don't need permission to shift from soft to fierce. You don't need permission to contradict yourself, to evolve, to outgrow, to collapse and rise again. You are not here to be consistent for the comfort of others. You are here to be authentic in a world addicted to masks. And that means you must give up the idea that anyone else will validate your path. Most people won't understand how you move. They won't understand why you leave when things look perfect. Why you say no when everyone else is saying yes. Why you burn down the old before the new is ready. But let them misunderstand. Because you're not here to be understood. You're here to be true. And truth, for someone like you, is not a static thing. It's a living, breathing current that moves through you. Some days it speaks in whispers. Other days it roars through your chest like a war drum. But it's always there, guiding you not to what's comfortable, but to what's real. And when you start living in that truth, unapologetically, you become something rare. You become a living portal. You become the place where opposites meet. A space where healing happens, not because of what you say, but because of what you are. People will start to feel it. They'll feel calmer around you, even if they can't explain why. They'll feel seen, but also challenged. Your energy won't let them stay asleep. It won't let them hide. Not because you're trying to expose them, but because your frequency holds a kind of mirror that reflects back anything false. Some people will love you for that. Others will project their fear onto you. That's the price of being a transmitter. You'll always be revealing something by your very existence. And that's why most people who carry this vibration try to dim it. They try to be normal. They try to shut off the part of them that sees too much, feels too much, knows too much. But you can't shut off the sun and still expect the flowers to grow. So how do you embody this rare frequency in a way that's sustainable, grounded, and powerful? First, you learn to regulate your own energy. You become the master of your tides. You don't resist your yin when it pulls you inward. You don't suppress your yang when it calls you to act. You learn to track your cycles like sacred instructions. You stop fighting your nature. You start building a life that honors your rhythms. That means creating space for stillness and for fire. That means designing your days around your flow, not around what society tells you is productive. Because your power is not in constant output. Your power is in aligned transmission. Second, you cultivate environments that support your vibration. You become ruthless about frequency. You stop tolerating relationships that drain you. You stop explaining your intuition to people who don't even listen to their own. You stop negotiating with energy that feels off. Because you've learned this vibration is sensitive, and sensitivity is not weakness. It's refinement. It means your system picks up on what others ignore. And that sensitivity is what allows you to channel, lead, heal, create, and see the future. But only if you stop numbing it to fit into a world that's still asleep. Third, you begin to create from your dual vibration. You stop waiting for permission to start the project, launch the message, speak the truth. You realize that your very existence is the medicine. Your art doesn't have to be perfect. Your words don't have to be polished. Your mission doesn't have to be massive. It just has to be real. Because when you create from your yin-yang essence, your work carries a frequency. People feel it in their bodies. They don't just understand it, they remember it. And that remembrance is what awakens them. It's what calls their own wholeness forward. Finally, and maybe most importantly, you begin to trust yourself deeply, more than any teacher, more than any system, more than any algorithm or trend, because this path is not mapped by anyone else. You are the prototype. You are the first of your kind. And that means you will often feel like you're walking blind. But you're not. You're walking from the inside out. You're walking guided by a frequency that's older than time. A frequency that doesn't scream but hums quietly beneath your skin, saying, "This way, this way, this way." And that voice, that inner compass, it's your greatest teacher. When you follow it fully, fiercely, without apology, you begin to unlock levels of embodiment that most people only read about. You begin to live your soul. You begin to radiate your truth. And people will feel it. They'll feel the coherence in your field. They'll feel the safety of your presence. They'll feel the strength of your boundaries. They'll feel the fire in your silence. And they'll know, maybe for the first time, that it's possible to be whole in a world that has taught them to be half. So I ask you now, as we close this transmission, are you ready to stop resisting your power? Are you ready to stop splitting yourself into pieces to be more digestible? Are you ready to stop choosing between yin and yang and start becoming the sacred union of both? Because if you are, then everything changes. Your relationships change. Your body changes. Your purpose becomes clear. Not because you found a perfect system, but because you finally remembered who you are. You are the bridge. You are the flame and the water. You are the silence and the roar. You are the healer and the destroyer. You are the portal. And now the world is ready for you.